Hi, welcome to Dale McCluskey's Dog Training. I'd like to take a couple minutes and discuss this whole issue of connection and how we connect with our dogs, and talk about how dogs really do, connect dots, so to speak, with how we, with what we do, how we think, and so that when when we're doing certain interactions with our dog, say with exercise or taking a dog out for a walk, how we can expel energy. We can have our dog exercise and release some energy, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're going to be able to create meaningful change through role change, with establishing the type of influence that is going to push back the unwanted behavior issue. So and the same goes for everything else that you do within the relationship. Dogs really do know if you're going through the motions or whether you're the real deal, whether you're starting to align with the right type of psychology that's going to allow you to take the lead role. So it's very important that you start to understand that when you do something, it has to represent that you really are changing. And this is the real problem oftentimes with, especially when you take learning theory and start to see it for what it represents through this connection. So, for example, this is why so many dog owners will attend, say, obedience class. They'll put on a device, they'll use a device, they'll run around pylons, and they'll waste their time and money. And because what happens is, I show how this cognitive connection, how this shared connection through nature and through the pack relationship, how that is the primary influence. I mean, it really is. So, if we're following a roadmap, which because we look at things through our eyes, so we want to we want to see what we're doing and we want to understand what we see. But the problem with that, nature is about the whole. It's about, it's just not just body, it's mind. And this is very, very important for people to start to, or begin to connect this really critical dot. It's imperative. So, the standard or the litmus test, so to speak, are the behavior issues. You have to start to connect that, what do behavior issues represent? Well, they represent basically how the decision making of the dog is being influenced through this pack connection, and how a dog's mind is governed and influenced through this connection. So that's why I really focus on where this all started going wrong back, when Pavlov and Skinner, when they studied how a dog's mind was influenced. They did not look at this pack connection. It's never been under study. And now what's happened, and this is part of my challenge that I put out there for people to answer my specific questions. Many that have taken learning theory and are now basically exploiting it are not qualifying the type of influence being established. And beyond just using a motivating agent through treats or through clickers, through treats. And so so when a dog is moving around for responding or doing the sit or doing the shaking a paw, is it just based on what is it coming through? What role is it coming through? Is it coming through strength or is it coming through weakness? And this is no different than, say, with the four styles of parenting, whether it's permissive and the parents being objectified through the relationship, and or is it has parental influence been established? And this is what I show. I mean, when you talk about, say, behavior modification, what is that? I mean, it sounds really cool and slick, and it seems to really fit into this scientific way of thinking about dogs. Or what it really is, I show it. It's how basically the decision making, how a dog's mind is governed and influenced, how the decision making is impacted, how it changes. That is, in modifying behavior, well, it has an impact on the behavior of the dog. If decision of making of the dog is being influenced, then it's going to impact the behavior issues, which are just the branches coming off the tree, and the tree is the role. So, so when you look at what I'm, how I'm approaching this dog and human dynamic and the relationship, training really is nothing more than a intervention. So you can go, that's why I said I can go into a class of, of say 20 people that are about to do, obedience training, and I'll, with understanding the psychology and the interplay of this connection, I'll tell you within 30 seconds who is going to pass and fail within that class before a clicker or a treat touches a hand. I mean, that's because I'm focused on the connection. So, so then you look at the trainer and what he's promoting through that. So, people, when they look at this whole thing, dogs are more than just appearances. With learning theory, and what I'm showing is so much of it now is just, half-truth. And it's really important to understand half-truth is the most dangerous truth of all, because it's going to lead even more people astray, especially when you attach this type of weak psychology, because people, want to see things, through this. They're merely looking at the things how they want them to be, instead of a reality check and seeing things the way they really are. And this is why I tell people, how can you go to where you need to be unless you know where you're at through nature? And that's what this system of training really does. It establishes where you're at, and it gives you a reality check so that you can be successful. That's key here. So all these behavior issues that people are masking through medications and are giving up on their dogs, I'm showing that we can save a lot more dogs. That doesn't need to happen. We can really change, the attitudes of people, and but you have to expose this agenda. You have to start to, get in tune to this connection. So, anyway, I just challenge you to, visit my website, check out my articles. I have several books available through Amazon Kindle, which really show this connection, what it represents, and help you create a mutually happy and balanced relationship with your dog. So, everybody gets what they need and what they want, and so everybody wins. That's the thing. So this approach isn't about losing; it's about winning. So, when you look at how dominance theory and how that's packaged up and marketed, I'm showing, what I'm showing is just replace that word dominance with the word influence, and you'll start to understand where I'm going. And then look at the parenting styles. It's the same path. It really is. So, people when they take, and what's happened here is they're packaging to market and sell these ideas without going any deeper. And people are obviously buying these up because it aligns with how they're thinking. So if your psychology is really weak and you're more emotional, of course you're going to go towards that which, how you can kind of hold on to those views. And, people have to understand, what is the test? It's the behaviors. So what's happening, people are willing to put up with these behaviors and just or giving up on the dog because that's merely how they see it, and they don't want to confront this. So I really challenge you to think about what I'm saying. Go into my site. When you watch my videos, kind of try to see a little more than just what you're assuming is happening, because I'm working off this connection. I'm working off the interplay of this connection, the psychology, and I'm able to break it apart and piece it back together the right way. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.